Hey guys, this time on Deep Junk, we're gonna tackle this '64 Impala, an art car. I guess you could use the word art very loosely, very liberally. I think art and this kind of thing is, well, there's a fine line between art and crap, and this is the latter. What we've got though is a '64 Impala build between myself and about 5 or 6 other customizers here on YouTube. They've got channels. Lee at Time Rider's Wee Little Cars, he's spearheading this. He had some Impala sent to him by his friend, a subscriber, with the idea of there being a build, so we got in on it. He sent it out to us. We are approaching Memorial Day here. As I record this, not for a few weeks out yet, but George at Hodges Hot Wheels and Diecast, he's also in, and I'm not positive on who else, but so without further ado, let's take this and dump it in a stripper and throw the tires away before they hurt someone, because I feel like poking my eyes with a stick. Ooh, well, it didn't get any prettier over here, folks. Plastic bottom, plastic base, X-frame deal with some exhaust, little engine and transmission or bell housing. It's like just bell housing detail there, with those wild, wacky wheels. Interior, it's a Impala-esque looking interior, somewhat like it. It's got that little grill piece there in the center, but of the backrest. Impalas do. That's always a neat little thing. Tinted glass kind of limits you on what you do. It'd be hard to do without getting some clear from another car to do one stock. And the body in all its black and whiteness. So we are going to just dump that thing straight on in right away. Right there. Bloop, 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 bloop. I have to make my own noises. Yeah, get in there. Yeah. That's the same citrus strip that I've been using for probably a year now. All I do is when I pull the cars up and out, they take some with them, and I just replace them. So it's my constant good batch of citrus strip, I guess you'd say. Constant, you know, like rotating it through. Alrighty, so far on the '64 Impala, we've got our metal work started. We've got Fender Skirts cut out, get some shape back into those quarter panels the way it should. Tried to clean up around this deck lid. That trim piece is going to go up over the quarters and the deck lid there. Not too bad. It had a little lines on the roof, but nothing real bad. It's kind of slammed and squishy up front, you know, with the fenders. Doesn't look great, but that's what you get with these. And this tail light panel back here, it's going to take some creative sanding to make it look right, but so far so good. We got the Nova over there. It's about ready for paint. Alrighty guys, the '64 Impala, it's been a minute or two. We've had some things go on here, and I hadn't really been filming all that much. I've got interior done, and then color, the wheels and the stance and that, and the chassis and everything's looking good there. The body, since you last saw it, the body has been painted 3 times. Just got it back out of the stripper. This is number 4, and this is gonna have to do. We're Friday. What is this? Today is Friday the 22nd, and this video is to be up on the 25th. And here it is, naked without paint on it. So each time I painted this thing was something different that went wrong. It wasn't the same thing over and over. It wasn't paint. One time it was paint, then it was my fault, then I had a completely different I had stuff get in it that I couldn't even tell you where it came from. I wasn't even sure what it was. And it was bad enough that it couldn't be sanded out, it couldn't be wet sanded out, you know, buffed or anything. So back in the stripper it went. So I'm just going to change my approach here. One more, we're going to take a swing at it, one Hail Mary, and see if we can get it. If not, we'll have a primered up 64 Impala barn find or something. Alrighty. Already guys, no primer this time. We were painting white. Originally I wanted a white 64 Impala with red interior and then white walls on it. And said it looked really good. I had problems with paint. I screwed it up one time. I had some stuff get in that it couldn't even be wet sanded out. So I kind of changed my approach and my way of thinking, and we just went basic black. So we've got black with red interior, but it's going to be stock. No Fender Skirts, but white wall tires, and we've got a hubcap deal for a 64 Impala. We putting those on. So right now I'm going to detail the chassis and finish detailing the body. Got our interior over here, add some detail there. Need to touch up some red, but that's where we're at. I had to make some bushings because the chassis is so narrow in here for bigger wheel and tire. When I put the skinnies on, there's so much axle it moves back and forth. So we've got a little bushing to keep the axles out where they need to be. And you can see I'm cutting off these backings right now. And we'll get rid of those, clean up this chassis, detail it up a little bit. Far out. Hey guys, happy Memorial Day weekend, everyone. I hope everybody's weekend is going good. We've got our Impala all finished up here with the reveal. Going into this, I painted this car white, as you know, 3 times. And I was picturing in my head a white 64 Impala with red interior and white walls, all stock. And it just didn't work out. You know, I'm not big on painting the 64 scale cars dark colors because you lose a lot of detail. I do black and that every once in a while, but black seemed to be the next natural color for 2 reasons. When I was a kid, my dad had a black 64 Impala, and I remember sitting in the back seat of that car with the Impala logo and that big chrome piece in the center of the rear seat, and thinking that was just the coolest thing I'd ever seen. And a few years ago, in my restoration business, I did a 64 Impala. It was a 4-year build. It was a black car with red interior, 409 4-speed, frame off, chalk mark restoration. So this car would look like that one, sans the white wall tires. And this does have white wall tires on it turned in, and the only reason why I didn't leave them turned out is because the white walls on these tires aren't perfectly round, and you play forever trying to get them to look halfway round, and there seems to always be a flat spot somewhere. So it was just as easy just to turn them in and leave it at that. So we did this one starting off with getting rid of the Fender Skirts. Cut those off. Did a lot of body work to this one. It doesn't have a lot of the trim on it that a 64 Impala would, which is a little disappointing in some ways, but then again, it's less that I have to detail on it, so we've got our door handles and the essentials on the car. But so we cut the Fender Skirts off, did the body work. After a bout with the paint and deciding to go black, we did a black metallic color. It's not completely stock. Tuxedo black would be the correct color for the car, and I don't have any just a basic black to mix up for it. So this color was next up. And did wheels and tires. Those are from a Johnny Lightning 64 Impala. So that's the correct hubcap for the car. Got our bumper. That is the black chassis that came with the car. Did the grill inset in aluminum. The piece in the bumper here that goes around the license plate spot, those are separate pieces, and they're usually argent, so that's aluminum paint in there. The bumper is chrome, the outer grill is chrome, and then the headlights. And I left the headlight buckets in there blacked out. It gives it kind of a sporty look. So I took liberties with it. I know, it's not stock. The ride height, we give it a little bit of rake in the back. Normally these cars sit pretty low in the ass. We've given it a muscle car kind of stance. Around back, our tail lights, that trunk trim, and then the emblem on the deck. Again, the piece down in here on each side of the license plate spot would be an argent piece. So that was done in an aluminum color, and the bumper's in chrome. Underneath, we just did what Hot Wheels gave us. Some engine orange on our V8 there, the bell housing, some exhaust stuff, black on the front and rear frame rails where I cut those backings off. And then you can see our white walls turned in. You can also see the bushings I made for those axles to keep the skinnier tires pushed out to a stock position where they belong. And again, from this side here, not a bad looking car. Really want to thank everyone for stopping and checking out the car. Thanks Lee at Time Riders Wee Little Cars for supplying us with the cars of the challenge for the Memorial Day challenge here. Thanks everyone for checking it out. And this car, I'm like always, she'll be up for sale. 17 Stacy, eBay seller, my wife's eBay there, along with a couple other cars. Thanks everyone for subscribing and the thumbs up and that. I appreciate it. And we will see you come June here with a lot more coming up. Thanks again, and have a great Memorial Day weekend.